very much, Marge. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Hillary, the host, Dr. Miguna. I'll be very brief. I wanted to come in at this juncture before we go too far, simply because I am very proud of what has happened in the last 5-6 weeks. And why am I proud of this? For those of you who've been around civil society for a while, people like Professor Kivutha Kibwana at the Center for Law and Research International, where I worked for a bit under Maurice Odhiambo of the National Civil Society Congress, we had something in 2010 called Vugu Vugu Mashinani. And I'm very much able to talk to a lot of folks, including relatives that serve in government. And one of the things that the themes I've had in the last 3 weeks is what the president had asked is anywhere in Nairobi where you see 100 people, 100 people, can the intelligence try to find out where is the transport for these people coming from and where is the lunch allowance? Because this is also how NGOs operate. Remember, we're living in a society, Marge and others, where we have very serious manufactured poverty. Kenyans live on this thing they call less than $1 a day. It sounds like a statistic, but it's very real because hunger is real. Food is so expensive. There are no jobs. Under Moi, we destroyed all the industries. And that is the result now in the economy where people are literally that desperate. So when they're not really finding this was very disturbing. And this is also very encouraging in the sense that having attended the protests, I can testify that a lot of the people that came, young ladies, campus people, people looking for work, even people in private sector that were able to get offs. Because it was so genuine, I remember being on Standard Street near Trattoria, and the restaurants were just throwing water to us to battle tear gas. Remember the first days, Java feeding people, etc. And so this has been a very big shock to the government. In a country where people think more selfishly, where it's very difficult to mobilize even 100 people. Why am I giving this background? I'm giving this background because, by the way, Tony Gashoka was referencing the Battle of Normandy. This was, I think the casualties there were something like 600,000-700,000. That's what Winston Churchill was talking about, just the grit and the valor, that came with this war. What I'm suggesting here has been said before, but I wanted to be more specific. And shout out to Caswell, who talked about Nane Nane. The Million Man March that Tony Gashoka has just spoken about was prior to Kenya's independence. The Million Man March by Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. We must get serious. Why we must get serious is because you can see Ruto has a problem. It almost appears like a mental problem, because I cannot believe that the president, and I have sent my petition to Parliament yesterday to oppose the new cabinet. I cannot believe that you can dismiss a cabinet as a constitutional president and then return the same. If you look at Article 132, if you look at Article 75, Article 73, to dismiss a cabinet, first of all, a cabinet is not a hangout for homeboys and side chicks and whatnot. This is just a fact if you read the Constitution, if you believe in the Constitution. And so, for someone like this that has now reverted to raiding the opposition, riding around on rooftops, the only thing these guys will understand, and this is the challenge now to us, which is a very achievable challenge, is for Nane Nane, let us, as we build towards Million Man March, let us target to get 800,000 people on the street. It is doable. Let us, like for me, I'm going to get anybody and everybody that I know to join the demonstrations. They have to understand why we must do this. They have to understand that this country must be saved. And as I finish, I'll demonstrate why this country must be saved. 800,000 is, the safety is in numbers. You cannot kill everybody. In fact, I dare say, and I'm sure they're listening, that day for State House, a lot of calls were made and a lot of people were called. And I was called. And what their argument was that if you march to State House, and the regime falls, then the next president will face the same and the one after that. And we have a challenge of losing the republic and losing our constitutional democracy. And I can hear that. And of course, if you're a patriot, you have a concern for the well-being of your country. But look at where the country is now. Look at where the country is now. So if we can mobilize 800,000, because what these guys have done is they've regrouped quickly, they're mobilizing goons, they're abusing Gen Z and us again. The president, as we speak now, is in a town hall in Mombasa telling lies. There's only one language a bully understands. And so, Casmuel and the rest, if we get 800,000 people in the street, we don't have that. They will have to mobilize the Air Force and bomb us and let them do that. Having said that, let me just highlight one thing and then I can close. The US government has written to State House on Friday. The letter is all over the place. It was in the form of a phone call, which then, of course, has to be typed out because the phone call is listened to by the CIA, etc., etc. It's very annoying that from the very start of these demonstrations, I personally tweeted Meg Whitman, and I've been talking to a lot of these guys before when we did governance work in the embassy, asking them to ask Ruto to stop shooting unarmed citizens. So now they've put it in writing. Just to quote that, the president must hear the voice of civil society, must respect the contribution of patriots. But it just saddens me so much that we call out something on January 23rd, 24th, June 23rd, 24th, and it's until July 27th that you're putting it into writing when they've shot people in the head, when they're kidnapping citizens in broad daylight. And so countries that believe in democracy, that stand for human rights, must stand to be counted. This war is going to go even to the United Nations. This war is going to go ultimately even to the US Embassy, because we are not playing. Kenyans are asking for their country back, and that is a very noble ask. Finally, I see people on here, I don't want to name them, that know a lot of the things that are going on. I'm made to understand that there's a very big scandal unfolding via the e-citizen, where the boss centralized all collections of all monies, formed a company, and the brief was, this is the money that we're going to collect via about 10,000 services in government, and then we garner the money. The concern for me is, of every 10 shillings collected, 7 goes to debt, and then 3 to development, and we know that there's a lot of theft going on. So my question is where is the money? This money being stolen, because I saw a British Prime Minister saying, and I quote, that if the United Kingdom had been subjected to the level of looting that a country like Kenya has been subjected to, the country of the United Kingdom would cease to exist. I think we have a much bigger skunk here, and that might explain the very serious desperation on the part of government. So let us be focused. Let us not do small demonstrations. I don't believe in those small numbers things. Let's do 800K. Let these people put their weapons down and say, okay, now it is like for like. Tumewasikia. Now we must go by how you guys are saying under Article 11. That is, if we don't feel we're hitting that target, let us not then go to the street. That's unpopular to say, but this thing of a flurry of guys here, 37 guys here, 140 guys on this side, etc., let us consolidate 800,000 people in Nairobi. Let us march to KICC and fill it, and Uhuru Park, and we stay there. God bless Kenya. Thank you very much indeed.